What is going on? Theo here. If I absolutely had to go make $1,000 this weekend, or £1,000, wherever country you're watching from, this is exactly what I'd do. Like, no option. And I'm going to show you the way to do it if you've got stuff to sell, and the way to do it if you don't have stuff to sell. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I'm in Vietnam right now. It's Christmas time, and I've always been like this stock hunter guy. Like, I've always been hunting for stock to sell, right? Used to go to outlet stores, I used to go to sample sales, I used to go to car boot sales since a kid. Like, I always used to go find deals and find stuff to sell, and I used to have get like a proper buzz off it. Like, I remember even me and my friend used to go to this outlet and we'd queue up. Even at one time when it got really, really good, I'd queue up at like the night before. Even we did sometimes when it got really good around COVID time. So that feeling that you used to have when you found something. I remember one time I found this jacket. It was I'll see if I can get a picture and put it on screen. But it was a white and green Adidas mountaineering jacket, like a special mountaineering jacket. Now this was an Adidas sample, and I paid £4. This was the most margin I've ever made on any product. I paid £4 for it and sold it for 400 quid. That's the best outlet find I've ever had. So I paid £4, sold for 400. When you get into this game I'm about to talk about, every now and again you get hits like that, and they're the ones that keep you hooked. And I just remember, you used to just get this gambling feeling, because it kind of was like gambling, right? Because you're always trying to find stuff. And since I've been in Vietnam, this is where they make all the clothes, right? So you go into these shops, and what they look like from outside, they look like some random shop with a 40-year-old sign on it, really tiny, slim building, old knackered sign, shit lettering, old sliding door, and you'll go in, and it'll be like a shop that's from the floor to ceiling in Lacoste, brand new with tags, legit Lacoste, right? Like authentic. And then they'll have Hugo Boss. They'll have like 2 brands or 3 brands, and then they'll have basically authentic products in there. And because the reason for that is because in Vietnam, people, they make clothes here. Everything's made here. You know, Nike makes the shoes in Vietnam. Calvin Klein makes stuff in Vietnam. Levi's makes stuff in Vietnam. Where else? Lacoste clearly makes stuff in Vietnam. Most brands make things in Vietnam. Now, different areas are good for different things. Like, they'll get some made in Vietnam, some made in China. You know, different areas and regions are good for different materials, but a lot of stuff is made in Vietnam. So when you find these shops, you know, a lot of Burberry as well. That was sort of like taking me back to that old school feeling I used to get of outlet hunting and trying to find deals, and just really spending time trying to find them, but then finding stuff and selling it for good money. So that's why I'm making this video. So if you haven't guessed the business by now, it's finding stuff for cheap and selling it for more. Now, you don't have to be in Vietnam to do this. This is the first time I've ever been to this country. I'm just trying to make some contacts out here. But for anybody trying to go make $1,000 within a week, which is more than achievable for everybody, you need to just find something to sell. Now, usually you don't even have to leave your house for this, right? People forget that the fastest bit of money that you can go and get together, and they never do this, but is to just spend a full day listing stuff from around your house. And some people will be like, oh, I don't, nothing's worth any value, no one will pay for this. Trust me, if you do you spend an hour doing some market research on eBay or Vinted, and you see the prices people are selling stuff at, you go on sold listings, people buy shit. People will buy your stuff, yeah? And that's exactly what I'd do. If I needed 1,000 straight away, I'd straight away start going and selling stuff from my house without having to leave the house. I would walk around my room, my front room, my living room, walk around every single room in the house, go through the wardrobe, look at what do I actually use, what do I actually need, and have a massive clear out. And let's say you only get 200 quid. Here's what I do next. I would then go look for stuff that you know about, right? So let's say you're really into, I don't know, Carhartt jackets, right? Let's say you're really into Carhartt jackets. All you do is you go to either a Carhartt outlet or you go to a car boot sale and look for Carhartt. Like, you pick an item that you know a lot about, something you don't have to learn about, right? It might be bikes. You might really know bikes. So you go to somewhere that sells bikes, or you have a look on Facebook Marketplace. You basically start with what you know, right? So whilst the stuff's selling online that you've got around your house, you go start looking for stuff. Now, you only have to spend 100 quid, 200 quid, and then you can start making flips off of that. And you'd be surprised how much stuff's worth laying around your house. You really would. You really, really would. And once you go get that money together, like, if you make £500,000, right, and you keep that money aside, what you do is you put that money aside, right? That's not your money. That's what that's what you can start this business with, right? So you take that money, you put it to the side. That money goes on stock, right? You spend 1,000, you buy loads of stuff. By the time it all sells, you make 1,500 back. Then you start spending that 1,500 on more stock, then you make 1,700 back. You spend 1,700, then you make £2,000 back. And that flip life, like, that's how I went from zero to my first million in sales, right? Sales, just by doing that, like, from zero as well. But what I would do is I would not spend anything on myself. I would not buy anything for myself. And I would spend all the money on new stock, because when I spent it on stock, the money were working for me, right? And it's insane what you can do off of this. Absolutely insane what you can do off it. Well, when you start with a little, you can really, if you know how to find stuff for right prices, and you know how to sell it properly and what the best platform for each thing is, like, wow, you can get some cash together very, very quickly, right? And listen, when I went super broke, this is exactly what I went back to. Took me a long time to realise that's what I should have gone back to. But it's just that concept of buy and sell, and just go buy and sell what you can. Like, you might be thinking, oh, there's no Carhartt store near me. Well, listen, I can guarantee there's something geographically close to you that is different from everybody else. And you've just got to find that. Once you find that and you learn how to sell properly, wow, you can make some money really quickly. You really can. And look, if you're saying to me, like, Theo, I've not got anything to sell, I cannot find anything, I've never accumulated anything in my entire life together, which is not true, right? Will not be true at all. All you do is you just go ask someone else. Maybe go to your grandma's, your aunties, someone who lives on your street, someone in a different area. You knock on the door, you say, look, have you got anything you want to get rid of? I'll list it on eBay for you, I'll ship it for you, you take the money into your account, you just pay me 10% of revenue, 15% of revenue. They're not having to do the job, they're getting all the money straight into their bank account, and they're just paying you a little bit of money. And if you don't have £1,000 worth of stuff, well, trust me, some people that you know will do. Someone on your street will do. Someone on the richer area that's 10 minutes away, walk, will do. And that's something you can really get away with if you're a bit younger. But even if you're a bit older, as long as you come across as trustworthy and you say, look, I'll list it in your house, I'll list it on your account, you just got to kind of know a person, so you have that trust element, right? But if you go and offer people that as a service, you don't need any money to start that. You need zero money to start that. You're not having to put any money down, you're just paying with your time a little bit, and it doesn't take long. People can't be bothered. Like, I can't tell you how many people have hundreds and thousands of pounds, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds and thousands of pounds worth of stuff laying around the house. And the thing is with this business, right, this is the only business really that gets better the more the economy gets worse, right? So the more people start struggling, the more they look for deals. And the more people struggle, what you actually find is, and I know this by selling consumer goods, right? Once people start struggling, they start buying a lot more, because when they're really struggling all the time, they go get the nails done, they go buy the new shoes, they go buy something, because they need that validation, right? When they feel like they're struggling, they feel like they're falling behind, people buy material goods for validation. And you know, depending on what you're selling, you can be really helping people with this. Like if you're selling bikes, for example, and someone's, you know, lost their license or can't get to work or can't afford a car, and you sell them a bike and that's what they use to get to work, like, you've done that person a big favour. So, you know, they've had a deal. The person you've either sold it yourself, got all the value out of it, or, you know, you bought it, you don't need it anymore, you've turned it back into cash. Like, everybody wins with it. Everybody can get a transaction in a way. Someone can get rid of something, you can make some money, someone else can get a product. You know, it's like 3 people end up winning out of one situation. And, you know, someone might be buying it for a gift and then, you know, whatever. But, you know, if you're looking at December now and thinking, I just wish I had an extra bit of money from Christmas. Sorry, big coach driving past. Should be filming this on the street, really. But yeah, if you just want to get like a little bit of cash together quickly, that's just the best way to do it. And if you want, you can end up turning it into a proper business like I did. But this is what I'd recommend for someone who's a complete beginner who just wants to get some money together quickly. You'd be absolutely surprised. And what you don't want to do is just sell your stuff for nothing. You want, you know, take good photos, list it properly, list it in a way that customers are going to buy it. Like list it in a way that's going to add value to it. That's what I talked about yesterday. But yeah, if you're wanting to get some extra cash together this Christmas, that's one I highly recommend doing. Works for everybody, and it's something that you can literally go do within a few days. You could list something today and it could be sold in an hour. Because when you're selling something like Vinted, for example, or eBay, it'll go to the top of the screen, right? It goes as a top listing. So usually, not all the time, but 50% of the time, you'll sell stuff straight away if the price is decent. So it is actually a really quick way to get some money in. You know, a quick way to get a thousand in this weekend. I'd highly recommend it, but you know, as you like.